Hey, yo, how's it going, guys? Bringing y'all today the next episode of Let's Go Draft League Analysis with my boy, Mr. TTM Jolt.
What up?
It's your intro, really? Okay.
That's it.
Anyways.
That's it.
If you guys may have missed the previous episode, it was on Jolt's channel. A link to that will be down in the description. Also, make sure to kind of read the top line of description. I know I've been kind of MIA the past week or so on the channel here, besides this like one upload, but yeah, just check in the description real quick. Just wanted to mention that. But the Pokemon that we will be going over today is going to be Beedrill and Mega Beedrill, mostly Mega Beedrill, but I'll let Jolt kind of get into that because after talking about the mom, we're gonna start talking about our key points here, which are stats, move pool, key rolls, and checks and counters. So with that, my boy Jolt, go ahead.
Okay, so Mega Beedrill, pretty interesting Pokemon. Obviously, there aren't too many Megas that are available in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but this is one of the faster ones that you possibly might have for your draft. So it's rocking the 145 base speed as well as 150 base attack. So those are the two stats that are really going to stand out here on Mega Beedrill. But it also has a stellar base 15 special attack, base 40 defense, 80 special defense, and 65 HP. So obviously the other stats aren't particularly flashy on Mega B, but that attack and that speed are really what stand out. Base 150 attack might be one of the highest base attack stats that are actually available in the game. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the absolute highest is in the game, but 150 is obviously really high. So that's going to make Mega Beedrill a solid offensive threat for sure in this format. The speed, like I already mentioned, very, very fast. And actually, if the league that you are in or watching bans Mega Aerodactyl, there is a very high possibility that Mega Beedrill is going to be the fastest Pokemon that is available for your draft, outside of like Electrode, I believe, which would be base 150 as well. So yeah, overall really fast, really strong, and everything else is quite mediocre. But with that said, Leo, let's talk a little bit about the move pool.
Poor Mega Beedrill. Not only are its stats so bad, it also lost adaptability and Let's Go, which kind of made it decent in 7th Gen, but as Jolt said, it does have the benefit of being potentially the fastest Pokemon in any Let's Go league that you are in, which is really good. And on its move pool side, it is very, very limited. It's basically just about everything that I had in 7th Gen, but without knockoff. It still has U-turn, which is great for momentum. It has Drill Run to hit those bulky rocks and steel types for some type of super effective damage. And then you also have Poison Jab as your secondary stab. Now, typically, those are going to be the 3 moves you're mostly going to run on Beedrill. It does get access to some other physical moves, but they're typically not going to be too helpful. It gets Brick Break. Facade maybe could be cool if you expect to get burned. Outrage is also not that bad, just because it's able to hit what the combination of its dual stab and drill run are not able to hit for at least some type of hard hitting damage. It also does get X Scissor as well, which is 10 base points stronger than U-turn, which can actually come in handy in certain scenarios, so that could be something to consider running on this. It does get agility, but typically you might not be using agility on Mega Beedrill. It does have access to Roost, but then again, its bulk is really not that good. So yeah, not really much to say about Mega Beedrill's move pool here besides that U-turn, Drill Run, and Poison Jab. You're just about 90% of the time most likely going to be running those 3 moves, and then the last move you will just make it be whatever will be able to help Beedrill here. So moving on to our next topic is going to be key rolls, and Jolt, let us know exactly what Mega Beedrill here can do.
We'll be back up just a second here. So one thing that you didn't mention that I think should be mentioned is that Beedrill also lost Swords Dance as well in this game. And
never saw
not that
Swords Dance.
Not that Swords Dance was the most common move in the game, or not the most common move on Mega Beedrill, but it was a pretty nice way for it to be able to boost its attack. It also lost Fell Stinger, so two ways that in the past it was able to boost its attack stat, and those just aren't options for Mega Beedrill here in this game. But a little bit on the key roles it can fill for your team. With it being such a fast Pokemon and such a strong Pokemon, it's obviously going to be a really good revenge killer. Most Pokemon aren't going to be able to outspeed this, and if you happen to have weakened whatever the opposing Pokemon is on the field, then this will be able to pretty easily revenge kill that Pokemon or force a switch and able to, I guess, secure momentum for your team via U-turn if that's what the situation ends up being. So it's a solid revenge killer. Also, due to the high attack stat and the high speed stat, it does make for a good late game cleaner or sweeper for your team, despite not having the option for Fell Stinger or Swords Dance. The base attack stat coupled with some pretty high base power moves in its arsenal does make it a very threatening Pokemon in the late game. The only other thing really worth mentioning here for its roles is that it's probably the strongest offensive bug and the strongest offensive poison type that you're going to have access to in Kanto. So if you're looking to have a really strong bug-oriented team or just want to have good bug offense, good poison offense, then Mega Beedrill is probably going to be the Pokemon you want to pick up for your draft. One other thing, I don't think Leo mentioned it, we kind of talked about it a little bit before. Mega Beedrill having that high speed stat does have a pretty good Toxic Stall option as well, and you might see that as a relatively common strategy in Let's Go, especially in leagues that are going to ban the move Arrest, as Arrest is one of the only ways that Pokemon are able to get rid of detrimental status ailments, especially with only, I believe, one Cleric being available in the game, and that Pokemon is the starter Eevee, which I believe in many leagues actually won't be allowed either. So stuff like Toxic Stall, Toxic Spam is going to be a pretty viable strategy in this format, and with Beedrill being so fast, it's able to run stuff like Toxic, Protect, Sub, even Roost, and just be really annoying like that too. So just some stuff you can think about when you're building with Beedrill or just awaiting a matchup with a Mega Beedrill team. It has a little bit, it can do a little bit more than what you might think with just its offensive moves, but that's about all there really is to say on the roles. Let's talk a little bit about the checks and counters. Leo.
So taking a look at Mega Beedrill's checks and counters here, there's not really many things that can deal with this. I guess the good thing about Mega Beedrill is that even though, yes, it does have that base 150 physical attack stat, its dual stab is really not the best, and its coverage move is basically only really Drill Run. I guess you can count Brick Break if you want to do that, and then Outrage, I suppose, isn't the worst either, but Outrage forces you to stay in and lock yourself into Outrage, and then you get confused, and that's not really good for Beedrill. The best checks for Beedrill are bulky poison types and bulky ground types. Something like Nidoqueen and Nidoking are able to easily deal with Beedrill. Mega Venusaur and regular Venusaur as well are super bulky and able to hit it on its weaker physically defensive side potentially, and then bulky rocks are probably the best type of counter to Mega Beedrill, just because they can typically live any hit from this and in return easily KO it with Earthquake or Rock Slide, since there is no Stone Edge, which is actually worse for Mega Beedrill because now you don't have as high a chance of hoping your opponent misses because they have Rock Slide, which hits even more. So yeah, very simple checks and counters to Mega Beedrill here. Mainly poisons, grounds, and rocks are what are able to deal with Mega Beedrill. So with that out of the way, let's talk about where we think this should potentially be drafted. I will let Jolt start on this one.
Yeah, so with Mega Beedrill being so fast and having a high attack stat, I think it's definitely a really solid mon. And in my opinion, it could easily be even one of the top 5 Megas that are selected, especially if Pokemon like Mega Alakazam, Mega Gengar are banned in the league that you're watching or playing in, which, you know, they probably should be banned realistically. That makes Mega Beedrill one of the best fast Pokemon in the game, especially with that offensive stat. I think it deserves to go in the top 2 rounds. I would say round 2 is a safe place to put Mega Beedrill. There are other Mega Evolutions that I think are a little bit better than it, especially things like Mega Venusaur, I think Mega Gyarados. Both of those Pokemon are better than Mega Beedrill. Obviously, Mega Aerodactyl, if that is allowed in a league, is probably going very early on. But, you know, aside from those, Mega Beedrill definitely has an argument to be the next Pokemon up in line, in my opinion, for a Mega getting drafted. And that could be as high as the 2nd round or even late in the 1st round, depending on how many coaches are in the league and how many Megas have to get picked up throughout the course of the draft, as there really is a limited selection. So my guess has to be round 2 for Mega Beedrill, but I also want to just very briefly mention regular Beedrill as well, since it's on the graphic, you can see it in front of you, and we haven't really mentioned it at all, and there's good reason for that. It's pretty terrible. All I can say is just don't draft regular Beedrill ever.
It's bad.
It's horrible.
Don't do it to yourself.
The only reason you should ever draft Beedrill is if there's nothing else left. I would maybe draft it before Magikarp, but that's really
literally only Magikarp.
That's really all I can say on Beedrill. But Leo, what do you think?
So personally, I feel like Mega Beedrill may have arguments to be drafted in round 1. It really just depends, because like its speed is really good, honestly, and I still feel like the fact that this itself can just be the fastest mon because there's no Scarfers, and like 90% of the rest of the mons need some type of way to boost their speed with agility, which some do get, but they need to waste that initial turn. So I feel like just the speed alone for Mega Beedrill is so good. Plus the fact that it gets U-turn as a stab move itself is also really nice for it, because it's able to just instantly gain momentum, and that I really feel can kind of, again, make Beedrill worth a round 1 pick. I wouldn't say like 1 or 2, maybe like halfway through round 1, no later than round 2 at least. If this goes into round 3, I think that's just crazy, honestly. I would say like halfway round 1 and definitely somewhere in round 2 is where I would put Mega Beedrill. As for Beedrill, just don't even put it on the dock. You really don't need it there, because there's no point to draft Beedrill. There's no point to draft Beedrill. Don't do it, okay? So, yeah, very, very awesome Pokemon Mega Beedrill. I think it's really cool. It's actually, I think, one of my favorite mons in the potential of the draft league metagame for Let's Go. So, that's all I have to say. Any parting words, Mr. Jolts?
Yeah, the only other thing on Beedrill that's worth mentioning too, I think, or Mega Beedrill specifically, is that it does have that Rock's weakness as well. So Stealth Rock, you know, there's no defog, there's no Rapid Spin in the game. So when Stealth Rock gets up, it's going to be 25% on entry for Mega Beedrill every time. And I do think that kind of hurts it a little bit from a survivability standpoint, as it wants to be kind of that momentum Pokemon for your team. But obviously, if Stealth Rocks are up, you can only really do that 4 times. So just something to keep in mind whenever you're building with Mega Beedrill. But yeah, like Leo was saying, like I've been saying, it's definitely still a solid mon with that speed and attack stat. But that is all I have to say on Mega Beedrill. Leo, go ahead and close this out.
Alrighty guys, if you did enjoy, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button down below. Let us know also in the comment section what is the next mon you would like to see us discuss for these Let's Go Draft League metagames. Check out Jolt, check out the playlist if you may have missed any episodes before. The next episode will be up on Jolt's channel on Monday, so definitely go check that out, guys. So thank you all for watching. That's all I gotta say. So later, everybody.
Peace.